Alright, so we just finished 3-digit addition, and now we're going to switch over and do 3-digit subtraction. 3-digit subtraction is similar to 3-digit addition in the sense where you have to line it up the same way, but there's a bunch of different steps for you to take when subtracting. So our first problem, 957 minus 356, you want to line up just like you did with the addition problems. Alright, so just like the addition problems, we line up the ones, the tens, and the hundreds. Now, the thing that is different here is our steps that we're going to take to process this problem. We still want to circle a sign that helps us to remember to subtract so that we don't get confused when jumping back and forth between addition and subtraction. Now, there are some rules for setting up our problems. The bigger number must always go on top when you're setting up your subtraction problem, and the steps that you take are now going to be a little bit different. So we have some sayings that help us, that we always want to, when we're moving down the place values, circle the bigger number. So in the ones place where we're going to start to subtract, we circle the bigger number in the ones. 7 is bigger than 6. Now, we look at it as with, using the saying, more on top, don't stop. More on the floor, go next door and get 10 more. Numbers the same, zeros to gain. There will be a slide that pops up that you are able to read that next. Alright, so we see that we circled the 7 in the ones place, and it is on top. So more on top, don't stop. More on top, don't stop means just subtract. So we can just go ahead and do a normal subtraction problem. 7 minus 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. Now, we need to repeat those steps when we get to the tens. Now, I'm looking in the tens place, and I see a 5 and a 5. Now, they are equal, so we cannot circle the bigger number in this place value, but we still can refer to our saying, more on top, don't stop. There's not more on top. More on the floor, go next door, get 10 more. There's not more on the floor. Numbers the same, 5 and 5, zeros to gain. So 5 minus 5 is 0. When you subtract it, if you subtract anything by itself, it's always going to be 0. So now we can move over into the hundreds place. You can still circle the bigger number in the hundreds, but it should always be on top. If it's the bigger number's not on top, you made a mistake, and you need to, if the bigger number's not on top, you made a mistake, and need to check back and see how you set up your problem. 9 minus 3. 9 minus 3 is 6. So we went through our steps, circled the bigger number, and we did not need to regroup in any of these problems because all of our bigger numbers were on top or the numbers were the same. Now let's check out our second problem. Alright, so we have 638 minus 219. We want to go ahead, circle the sign. Now, we're always going to start in the ones. When we subtract, you always want to start in the ones. You are not able to start in the hundreds place. So now let's look into the ones place. We have an 8 and a 9. I'm going to circle the bigger number. The 9 is bigger. So now I go through my saying, more on top. Is there more on top? No. More on the floor, go next door, get 10 more. So if there's more on the bottom, you need to go to the next. Go over in the tens and take 10 more. So here we are in the tens. I have 3 tens. I cross that 3 out. If I take one of those tens away, how many tens do I have? 2. Put the top. That 10 must go somewhere. So you need to take that 10 and you are putting it into the ones. I had 8 ones. So 10 more than 8 is 18. Now, as you can see, the bigger number is on top now. Now we have 18. 18 is bigger than 9. So I go through my steps. 18 minus 9 equals 9. So there, I'm completed my ones, the subtraction problem in the ones. Now I need to move over into the tens. I have to repeat that same step that I did in the ones. Circle the bigger number in the tens place. I have a 1 and a 2. Come up here, circle a 2. More on top, don't stop. That means I can just subtract because the bigger number is on top. 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 equals 1. And just for routine, I'm going to circle the bigger number in the hundreds place, which should always be on top. 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2 equals 4. So in this problem, we only had to regroup once into the ones problem, or excuse me, in the ones column, because the bigger number was down on the bottom. If you think about it, if you put up 8 fingers and I tell you to take 9 of them away, you do not have enough fingers to take away. So you need to go over and borrow from the tens to be able to complete that problem. All right, for our last problem, 712 minus 457. All right, just like all of the other problems, we jump right ahead and circle a sign to help us remember to subtract. Now remember, we always want to start in the ones column. I have a 2 and a 7. Bigger number, is on the bottom. More on top, don't stop. I don't have it, so I need to go through my saying again. More on the floor, go next door, get 10 more. So there's 1 10 here. I cross that 10 out. Now I don't have any 10s. Alright, I take that 10 and I'm moving it over into the ones. Alright, so now I have 12 minus 7, since my bigger number is on top. 12 minus 7 equals 5. Alright, my first column is complete. Now I need to go over into the tens and repeat that same step. This is the biggest thing in 3-digit subtraction, is going through your process and repeating the steps. So now I have a 0 and a 5. Obviously, 5 is bigger. Alright, so I have more on the floor, go next door, and get 10 more. But now, while that's our saying, we're actually going into the hundreds and taking one of those hundreds. Alright, taking one away, and we're moving it into the tens. We're taking that 100 and breaking it into 10 tens. I had 0, right? So this is my number up top. Now I had 0 tens. I have 10 of them. So now I am able to just go through my same steps as a regular subtraction problem. 10 minus 5. 10 minus 5 equals 5. Now I'm jumping over into the hundreds place. For routine purposes, circle the bigger number, and more on top, don't stop. 6 minus 4. 6 minus 4 equals 2. So this was the most difficult problem out of 3-digit subtraction that there is, because we needed to regroup twice. So we needed to actually go into the tens and take a 10, then go around to the hundreds and take 100 and break it into 10.